folk. This is our 29-gallon aquarium Amazon Metro tank. In this video, we're going to be showing you how the tank is balanced over after the month of being set up. We have added a few more species from the last video, as well as started to do some CO2 into the tank. We'll have a full little tutorial of how to make your own CO2. So I hope you enjoy some of the clips shown here and find really some of the fish in this tank just beautiful. The 29-gallon aquarium is very lush and green at the moment. This is mainly because of the CO2 we are adding. Here we are working on a CO2 generator. It's a rather simple setup. In this 2-liter bottle, we are going to fill up with the proper proportions of sugar, yeast, and water. We will then have in this bottle water filled up to a certain amount. There's a check valve and a valve. So basically the yeast and sugar combination will produce CO2 that will go through this tube. The check valve makes sure that the CO2 does not go back down in. It only allows air through this way. So the CO2 is running down through here. The valve lets you how much you want in. It will then pump into this water, and this is a container where all the CO2 is stored. Then we have this long airline tubing with a hook down in, and with the contraption that we have in our tank that we're going to open this, stick this in the water under so that when the valve is turned on, it blows the CO2 up into the upside down chamber, and from there it will slowly dissolve into the tank and add CO2 to your tank, which can be very helpful and beneficial in the growth of your plant. Okay, so here's our yeast packet. We're going to add the proper proportions. We're adding 3/8 teaspoons of yeast to 1 cup of water. I'll talk about the sugar here in a minute. So we're filling this up with water slowly. This is warm water. And we're going to bring it up to about 3/4 of filled up with warm water. And this is a 2-liter bottle. This is a 1-liter bottle. Okay, so now we're adding the sugar to the CO2 compartment, and this is the sugar and the yeast make a special reaction that creates CO2. So we're adding, this is a half of a cup, and we're going to be adding 1.5 cups of sugar. You can do anywhere from 1 to 2 cups, but we thought we'd do right in the middle. So yeah, you want to give your yeast a lot of sugar. Basically, think of it as the yeast is eating the sugar, and that's what's feeding the yeast, and which is what is producing the CO2. So this bottle has yeast, sugar, and water in it. The yeast is going to make a slow reaction while it eats the sugar away, and it produces little CO2 bubbles at the top. You can see it's already started. It's going to push the CO2 through this check valve, and once we open the valve, it'll let some into this chamber with water and space here, and the CO2 will be stored in here. When we need to add CO2 to the container we have in our tank, we will stick this under where the container is, release these 2 valves, and I'll get all the CO2 pushing through here and up into the container, and then from there it'll dissolve into the tank and do what we want it to do. Here we're taking the CO2 container and fishing the tube up into the inverted beaker. You'll see here in a moment that once I turn the valve, it will release bubbles, you can see there, and that will fill up the beaker with CO2, and during the day it will slowly dissolve into the water, and the plants from there can absorb it. This is our dark night ram, which is very dark compared to the normal German blue ram, who's a lot lighter. The black ram is actually an even darker ram species. Here are some of our young electric blue rams. We have 2 males as well as 1 female. We removed the juvenile marble angelfish from our ram tank and added them into this 29-gallon aquarium. We moved them because they were being very aggressive to the rams and preventing the rams from breeding it once again. We also added what we hope to be a pair of keyhole cichlids. These are juvenile, and we hope to grow them up to about 2 inches to the point where we can try to breed them in here. Here's our long-fin bristlenose pleco. He keeps things clean, and this is a bristlenose pleco, not a common pleco, and he is growing very fast in this aquarium. It's great to see him eating off the algae. We also have a few Amana shrimp, 3 to be exact. Now this is the only part of our tank that is not from South America. They're from Japan. The tetras we have in here are about 17 cardinal tetras as well as a solo neon tetra. They keep the tank very lively and active. We have had some algae problems over the last month and a half of this aquarium being set up. This is very common with a newly set up planted aquarium. We found that there are some ways that we can help get rid of the algae. Our first step was to reduce the amount of light in the aquarium. So we bought a second timer for our lights and hooked up the stronger light / LED to the second timer and had it come on a little bit after breakfast and after dinner. It came off. We also closed the blinds in front of the window because it was a southern facing window and got lots of light. That was also contributing to the fact that there was lots of algae in the tank. Alright, fish folk, share your feedback in the comments below. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on the post notifications. Till next time, give your fish a hug.